to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to our Monday, March 20th school board meeting. We'll start with our approval, deletions, additions. Dr. Veraco.
Thank you. You have an agenda before you with a couple of revisions under Roman numeral 7C, 1 and 2 under Dr. Bracy's area. Seek board approval for that amended agenda.
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Marshall,
I'll second that.
second by Mrs. Kelly. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Is there any correspondence this evening, Mrs. Kelly?
There is none.
All right, we'll move right into our liaison committee updates. Mr. Marshall.
Thank you. Having just completed an interview process, we have nothing new to report on.
Thank you. Mrs. Kelly.
Yes, redevelopment commission, I don't have any new information for that one. The Sherrillville Parks Department, I have quite a few items. The bike trail expansion along Rorman is slated to start back up again. The construction hopefully will be done early this spring. The Sherrillville Parks Department has their summer program catalog online available. Lots of camps and classes for the kids. Please check it out. It's a really, really great plethora of options. Also, for our high school kids, 15 and older, Sherrillville Parks Department is accepting applications now for those programs. So it's a great opportunity for our kids to have some summer employment there. And then moving on to legislative committee, the board sent a couple letters to our legislators in Indianapolis. Thank you, Dr. Medlin, for writing those letters for us, but
Hear,
it was asking them to consider not supporting House Bills 1608 and 1001. So again, thank you, Dr. Medlin. Then in regards to Senate Bill 486, we just want to mention that regardless if that passes, that administration is committed to negotiating with our Lake Central Teachers Association and continuing discussions with teachers in the future. And that's all.
Thank you. Dr. Medlin.
The Wellness Committee, they have been working on the Canvas page and uploading a lot of material there and disseminating it between the staff. They're also working on a couple Couch to 5K initiatives and things like that, so great things there, and they are meeting again on Wednesday. And nothing for the Diary Redevelopment Committee.
Thank you, and both my committees are quiet also. So we'll move to our official school board business topics consent agenda. Dr. Veraco.
Thank you again, Mrs. Seuss. Seek board approval for the minutes from our work session and our regular board meetings on March 6th. Also seek board approval for the claims, payroll, and extracurricular expenditures you received in your packets last week.
Move to approve the minutes, claims, payroll, and extracurricular expenses.
All right, we have a motion by Dr. Medlin and a second by Mr. Marshall. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. We have no public comments regarding action items, so we'll move to our official school board business topics regular agenda. Dr. Veraco.
Thank you again. My first item is to seek board approval for the board policies that we discussed at our last work session. That would be Roman numeral 7A1, items A through O. I'd like to seek board approval of those in their entirety since we worked through them at our last work session.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Marshall,
I'll second that.
second by Mrs. Kelly. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Now for the fun part of the evening, we are going to invite up a couple of our chairs of the Education Foundation to begin the festivities of passing out some grant recipient awards. So Melody and
I have Louise Talent, the co-president with Sue Schweitzer, and Mrs. Les.
thank you.
Okay,
Welcome.
and let's see. Okay, first off, we have Mrs. Les. She's the father of Dana Les, whom the grant round has been dedicated to for her. And Dana had the love of reading and a huge family contribution to the 5 Hero 5K that we did in the fall, and we're following it up this fall with a 5K also. Other board members that are here are, we have Susan Popa and Zach Seljan. They're two other board members that are here also. But first, we also like to say thank you guys for letting us do this. Okay? We gave 7 grants. which comes to a total of 629 grants. This round was $4,610. We have given $333,513 since the foundation started, which is great. This grant round will impact 1,483 students overall.
Wow.
Yeah. So Jeff Emon from Clark. Mr. Jeff? Okay. His grant was Students' Selections and Further Reading. Exposure to literature selected by other students or inspired by other interest topics will help create lifelong learners. When students see themselves and their interest in books, they feel prepared to step into more challenging reading. So. Trish Geis, she's from Holman. Jeff is from Clark. Love Your Brain. Okay. The Love Your Brain unit facilitates a brain-aligned approach to support our students in understanding how our brain works and how to self-regulate. First grade is a great place to start teaching students about the function of their brains and their nervous system. Students will gain knowledge that will enable them to apply these practices into our daily lives. Teaching students about their brains and their nervous systems can be built into our daily routine and procedures. This unit will provide students with the tools they need to identify sensations, self-regulate, and navigate through traumatic and stressful experiences in life. Okay. Karen Earhart and Ann Downey. No. Okay, they're from the high school and they were up for swim fins. The Center of Disease Control and Prevention states that drowning is the second leading cause of death for kids from ages 5 to 14. The Lake Central is taking an active role in the reduction of the statistic by providing professional guidance in the Learn to Swim process. The use of fins greatly enhance each student's ability to adapt to the water and gain confidence in their swimming to survive in the water. So thank you, ladies. Thanks, Erin. Lori Rosini is from Clark, Building Reading Stamina. In order to prepare students for the complex texts of the high school and college, we need to build reading stamina in our students. With engaging literature in the classroom, I will be able to help my students extend the length of time that they can read, comprehend, and enjoy reading. So thank you, Lori. Okay. Daniel Kars from the high school, Drones for Computer Science. Computer science is more than just coding games or programming on the computer. It is also programming tangible objects. Currently, the students are able to code physical computer devices and turn on lights and make sounds. With the purchase of the drones, the students will be able to see their coding executed on technology that they may be able to use in their future careers. So that's Miss Danielle. And there are two other people that aren't here tonight. Paul Hickey and Ashley were not able to come, so.
Can I just add one more piece? Dr. Malkow couldn't be here tonight, but she wanted to be sure to thank the Lake Central Educational Association, a foundation grant, and there she is so proud of the work that the foundation has done, and she wanted to tell all of the board members thank you, and then she wanted to say congratulations to all the winners.
Well, the foundation is a volunteer job. I mean, we volunteer and give our time to try to do fundraisers, to make money, so that we can support the teachers and the public, whoever writes the grants. So it's a honor, to really be doing this. Yeah.
So now we always have to get the picture, right?
Yeah.
We gotta get the big old check in here, so we can all gather around, and I have to have 2 volunteers to hold the check. How much about 2 people? Yeah. Go with it, Terry. Yeah, they're just right in front of the podium, we'll just go this way, 'cause there's the camera.
Don't mess it up, Terry.
Louise?
No pressure.
Louise?
No pressure.
Can you have each of the recipients pass before the board and shake hands? Good.
One more instruction, while we have a captive audience, one more instruction before you leave today with each one of the recipients. File out that way and be sure to shake the board members' hands. Thank you so much.
Okay, now get
Everybody
cozy.
cheese.
Get cozy here. All right, ready, everybody? Say, I love Grant. Bill, are you in the picture?
No. He's.
Beautiful.
Okay, thank you so much, board.
Oh gosh, thank you.
Thanks, Louise. Great job. Great job.
Bill really did not want to be in that picture. He was ducking, dodging, diving. Gosh, congratulations.
Yeah, I know, right?
Great job. Excuse me for not jumping up. I have a little issue. Okay.
Bill's always picking up the ladies. Like, seriously.
Melanie.
Congrats, it was good to meet you.
No, you did fine.
Thank you for everything. Yes. Congratulations. Thank you. Do you ever stop teaching?
Excuse me for not jumping up. Congratulations. Congratulations to you. Yeah. Again, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Super job. Annie, always good to see you. Okay, Karen? Yeah. Okay, take care.
Okay, we are going to move on with the rest of our business meeting of the board. If any of the people who were here for that ceremony have other things to go to, this would be a good time to depart. You're welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting, though. We'll pause for a moment. Until they run out of cones, they're probably gone by now. Good luck.
Enjoy.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
I just moved in, that's okay. I know. And we're on TV. Oh, dear.
Just take the chair with you, Louise. Louise and I go way back. My third item this evening is just to give the board an update on where we are with the House budget bill. That's 1001. And the language from the House bill moved over to the Senate a couple weeks ago. Currently, it looks like the language is calling for a 4% increase to the foundation amount. That's the amount we get per student in 2024, and a 0.7% increase in 2025. So given those numbers, we are certainly hopeful that the Senate, when they get a hold of this piece, they make some adjustments to help us out, especially in year 2 of that 2-year budget. It has been projected by the Legislative Service Agency that 81 districts across the state will receive less funding in 2025 than in 2024 with this model. Fortunately, we're not one of those 81, but 0.7% is not going to keep up with inflation. We all know that without doing too much study. The House version also calls for textbook costs to be absorbed by school districts. That's opposed to what the governor in his original budget said, that he wanted to see it as a separate line item so it wouldn't look like we were getting more than we actually are. There's Anybody who knows what fees are, especially for high school students, if you have one, you know that it gets to be a substantial amount of money. So the organization that Mr. James serves in and that we follow closely and has helped us with a lot of information regarding what's going on in the General Assembly has asked the General Assembly for strict definitions of what is included in this curricular material definition so that we'll know before any law passes what exactly is Lake Central and what our other school districts going to have to absorb in terms of student material costs. It's interesting to know that of the $1.6 billion being added to the K-12 pie over the next 2 years, again, the Legislative Service Agency estimates that $505 million of it will be distributed to private school attendees through choice scholarships, also known as vouchers, if that language remains unchanged. And the reason the increase is going up so much is they have made the limit now 400% of poverty, meaning a family of four can make upwards of $220,000 and still receive the voucher. On the bright side, the House budget does give extra money in the special education grant, the CTE grant, and the non-English speaking grant, which will help us because we need those three areas to be reinforced. We're currently subsidizing that through our regular tuition support money. There's also a piece in this budget that asks for us to get a half a ADM, basically $3,500 for every December/January graduate. We used to always just call them January grads, but for us now they're done in December. So to clarify, if somebody gets done a semester early, we're still going to get some money as a reward for those students finishing their high school. ASBO and others have lobbied against language in 1499 that caps increase to funds received from operating referendum. We're going to continue to follow that piece rather closely. And in closing, the Senate version of this budget, what they turn around and create should be done in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then they'll get into conference committees or whatever they call them, and they'll hash out the differences between the two sides and hopefully come up with something. We like 4% in the first year. We'd like to see a little more in the second year. Rumors are also out there that this session may end in the third week of April instead of going to the end of April. So as the Senate gets their version of the budget out, things will be happening quickly, and we'll continue to watch it closely. Mr. James, I miss anything on that?
No, you got it all. Thank you.
Any questions from the board?
No, thank you for the update, though.
Okay, thank you. We'll continue to update.
All right, we'll move on to our Director of Human Resources Personnel, Mrs. Mucha.
Thank you very much. I would like to recommend that the following personnel items be approved, but I want to bring to your attention, as I usually do, people with over 25 years of service. We have Karen Gross with 32 years here at Lake Central and a total of 36 and a half years total of teaching, and also Connie Jordan, who has given us 25 years of dedicated service. So special attention to those two people.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Mrs. Kelly,
Second.
a second by Dr. Medlin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Motion passes.
I would now like to congratulate our new Director of Secondary Education, Misty Shuneman, and maybe she'd like to come up and say a word or two so we can all get to know her.
Hello, my name is Misty Shuneman. First, I'd like to thank the board, Dr. Baracco, new team, for bringing me on board. I'm a Lake Central graduate, 1996, and this is my 23rd year in education, and I found my way back to this school and this district that gave me so much. I've got my 3 kids here in support, and I am thrilled to be part of the team that serves this district, including my own children. I've been in some neighboring fantastic districts so far, Crown Point and Hobart. I've worked with a lot of great teams, a lot of great people. I love people and I love curriculum. So I'm thrilled to be a part of this team and this community. Thank you so much for having me.
I think I see a husband back there, too. Is it?
He is also Lake Central graduate, yes. And there's a mom, too, over there.
How
Yes.
nice. How nice. Thank you for bringing them all with you. We're thrilled to have you with
Thank you
us.
so much.
Misty, can you individually introduce your children? too?
Sure. We've got Ethan, who is a senior.
He waved.
Skylar, who's a sophomore here at Lake Central. And both of them just performed in High School Musical. So if you saw the production, we're very proud. And then we've got Haley, who is in first grade at Coling Elementary.
Very nice. And then when Misty takes over as Director of Secondary, we'll be thrilled to have Sarah Castaneda as our new Assistant Superintendent of Lake Central Schools.
But that unfortunately means that we lose you, so.
Yes.
Goodbyes are sometimes
Thank
hard
you.
to say.
I
So
appreciate
We'll do
it.
that later.
Okay.
Cindy,
Thank
did
you.
we have a vote?
We did.
We did?
We did? Boy, it went right by me. Thank you.
You voted yes.
Now we'll move on to our Director of Primary Education, Dr. Bracy.
Good evening. I am just seeking approval for the professional leave request you have in your packets.
Motion to approve?
Motion by Mrs. Kelly,
Second?
second by Mr. Marshall. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
And again, I get to seek your approval for the field trip requests you have in your packets.
Move to approve the field trip requests.
We have a
Also
motion.
second.
Motion by Dr. Medlin and a second by Mr. Marshall. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you. Our Director of Secondary Education, Mrs. Castaneda.
Thank you. For my first item, I am seeking your approval for the professional leave requests as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Motion by Mrs. Kelly, and
Second?
second by Mr. Marshall. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And for my next item, I just wanted to give the board a brief update on the draft prioritized standards from the Indiana Department of Education. Last year during the legislative session, they tasked the Department of Ed with cutting the standards by about 25%, and then taking what was left and marking about a third of it as essential, with the hopes of having us focus on those essential standards for our future assessments. So this was definitely something that we were intrigued by. It's the first time in a while that they've talked about taking something off of our plate instead of throwing something new onto our plate. But since this summer, we haven't really heard much about it. And then all of a sudden, at the end of February, we received notification that they had the draft of these new prioritized standards available for schools. So in your packet, I gave you the calendar from the Department of Education. And throughout this month of March, they've slowly been releasing the language arts, math, science, and social studies standards. And then also opened it up for public comment. The public comment piece is something we've really tried to stress here at Lake Central. We want our teachers and administrators to weigh in on that. If they're going to be making decisions about what we're supposed to teach, then we appreciate the fact that they're giving us input. Having looked over the standards, a lot of the commentary that I'm also hearing from our teachers in the field is that they are happy they're taking some things off of our plates. I think we'd like a little more guidance about why something was cut in a particular grade level. We can kind of see maybe where it ended up being stressed in a different grade level, but I think we just like to know a little bit more about the rhyme and reason to it, and the state has said that that guidance should be coming out soon. Their intention then, once these standards get finalized, is to revamp the assessments. They'll revamp the high school biology iLearn assessment first, and then they'll do the 3 to 8 iLearn assessment after that. Right now, they're a bit ahead of schedule, so we're not quite sure when those will go out, but I'll keep the board posted as changes continue to be made. Any questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I am shocked that they're changing the assessment.
I'm hoping they're changing it for the better. That's all I'll say.
Next is Mrs. Grimella, our Director of Student Services.
Thank you. My item tonight is to update the board on a new alternate diploma that will be available to our students with disabilities. There were some documents summarizing the diploma in your board packet. So we're very thankful that the state legislature and Department of Ed have listened to input from parents and schools and finally created an alternate diploma. So currently we have the honors diploma, the core 40 diploma, and the general diploma. And this new alternate diploma will fall between the general diploma and the certificate of completion. So this is going to be awarded to our students who don't participate in the traditional graduation assessments. So these are students with more significant needs that aren't taking the SAT. We're very excited because it will recognize the academic work they put in and the job skills training work that that group of students participates in. So students who earn this new diploma will now count as graduates in the school's graduation rate. So that's another important piece to us, because we had a pool of students who were progressing through school doing a lot of hard work, but then were essentially counting against us in our graduation rate because they were receiving the certificate of completion. The other great piece for our students is it really should help with their employability after high school, because they will be leaving with an actual diploma rather than just the certificate of completion. So similar to what Sarah shared about the new standards, this was sort of dropped on our laps with very little notice. But the good news is, with what we already had in place, we will be ready to start awarding this to students beginning this spring. So particularly our students who go to our TAP program, because we have such employability skills in place there, they'll really meet the requirements very easily. So we will start awarding that with this class for the class of 2023 and then keep moving forward. So we are going to, I'm sharing this information with you all tonight. We have some information that's going to go out to parents next week when we have a little bit more time to think over spring break, when everybody else is gone. And then we will start making changes to IEPs and be rolling with this by spring. So we're very excited about it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay. All right, our Director of Facilities, Mr. Ledger.
Thank you, Mrs. Seuss. I have 3 items tonight to update the board on the capital projects for this summer. Last week, we had a pre-bid meeting at Bibbich. We had a very large turnout. We had over 30 people there, so we were very excited about that. We're bidding the project next Tuesday over spring break, so hopefully the bids come in very well, and we should have a lot of them from the pre-bid turnout, and I'll update the board in the next meeting on that. We also had a pre-bid meeting for the freshman center HVAC renovation last week as well. Had a good turnout there, and that also bids next week on next Thursday. So we're looking forward to that as well. Last but not least is the high school baseball and softball varsity lights. We've had some preliminary discussions with the town, and we're doing some final revisions of some drawings, and I hope to have those submitted here in the next couple weeks. And Dr. Veracco and I will be attending the study session for the Plan Commission in May, and if that goes well, we'd be going up for approval to the Planning Commission for their formal board meeting in early June. So that's kind of the timetable for that, and I'll keep you updated as that plays out.
It's great news.
That's all I have.
Thank you. All right, we'll move to our Director of Business Services, Mr. James.
Thank you very much. My first item is to seek your approval for the Common School Technology Loan that we traditionally apply for every 6 months. Just to remind the board that this is a loan that we get from the state, that we use that money to put in the smart boards, Chromebooks, desktop computers throughout the school district, and keep those up to date. We are allowed to apply for $100 per our February ADM count, which will come out to $905,000. But just to also remind the board, since we've been doing this every 6 months, this is a 5-year loan repayment. So every 6 months, one comes on. In essence, a new one comes on, and one goes off. And so it is tax neutral, even though we're adding the debt, one is for the same amount as coming off. So I seek your approval to apply for that Common School Fund loan.
Move to approve the application for the loan.
We have a motion by Dr. Medlin.
Second.
Second by Mr. Marshall. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And I seek your approval for the professional leave request in your board packet.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Motion by Mrs. Kelly, and I will second that. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And my final item is to seek your approval for the donations that were listed in your board packet.
Move to approve the donations.
We have a motion by Dr. Medlin,
I'll second that.
second by Mrs. Kelly. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you, that's all I had.
Thank you. And I don't think we have any public comments, so we'll move right along to board comments and consideration of future agenda items. Mr. Marshall.
Thank you. It was gratifying to see that we had any number of staff recipients of our grants today. And it's also satisfying to me personally, as well as my fellow board members. We now have the team all together again. We have a new director of secondary, and Sarah moving into Terry's soon-to-be vacated spot. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Kelly.
I just want to say welcome to Misty. Congratulations to Sarah, and a huge will miss you to Terry. That's all.
Thank you. Dr. Medlin.
Ditto, that's all.
And triple that, and the only thing I have to add is, wish everybody a safe spring break. Come back refreshed, because it'll be May before we know it. So we'll turn that over now to Dr. Veracco for board calendar of future activities.
Sure, we'll be back here before you know it, April 3rd, right after spring break. And by then, that week, I believe, maybe even a couple days before, spring sports will kick off. So after that disappointing NCAA tournament, we're ready for spring sports.
All right, so we have a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
And all in favor? We're adjourned.